Hey, what's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Mission Driven Life podcast. My name is Kevin Padillo, the president of Warrior Leadership, and also the host of your show today. Now, mindset and psychology is something that, people talk about all the time. You could listen to a podcast, you could listen to a YouTube video, and you could find the words motivation, you could find the words mindset anywhere online. But mindset can be applied in so many places, and I get a chance to really interview an expert on this topic, on the expert of psychology, on the expert of sports psychology, and someone who's actually been through it and been through the trenches of being a champion. Now, before I introduce to you my guest today, I want to invite you all to the Impact Players Tour, which is happening next Wednesday in Arizona, where 14 business leaders are coming down, and they're just like Petra, who are champions in business, whose businesses reach next levels, and they're going to be coming to meet you. So the access, I'll put the link down below, and we're almost running out of tickets, so I'm excited to have you there. It's going to be at the Glendale Hotel, or Glendale Renaissance Hotel. Get your tickets because there's going to be tons of people to network with, connect with, and learn and level up your mindset with. All right. But yeah, let's do this. All right. You ready, Petra?
Oh yeah. First podcast.
Nice. Okay. Well, for the people who don't know you, I want to introduce to you a friend and someone I used to go to school with in the university, Mount Royal University, and her name is Petra Rochelle. That's your real name?
Petra Richard.
Petra
I
Richard.
have my middle name on Facebook.
Yeah. So we have Petra Richard here today who wants to talk to you about sports psychology. She has won so many awards and qualified with so many great times in track and field. She studies sports psychology, athletics, mindset, and mental game. And she's also with the ALFA project, who helps athletes just level up their mindset and their fitness. So thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was an honor.
Yeah. Now I'm curious for everyone watching, what kind of outcome do you want people to want to get from the podcast today? What outcome?
Just probably understanding your mission and your why, and why, like, everyone wants to have a dream, right? We want to set goals, especially if it's in business or sports. But I think it's very important to understand that big why, because then that'll tie into where your mental game is at. It'll tie into your identity, which we'll talk about. It'll tie in what are you actually living for, and a little bit of motivation. And like I usually say, if you have a fear, fear isn't a good thing, but if you have a fear of your dream or a fear of setting this big goal, that's a good thing, because you're actually acknowledging that you're setting yourself at a point where you can face it face to face and learn how to overcome it. And I think that's very important, because no dream is easy, right? We will always face a lot of obstacles. But yeah, definitely talking about mental performance in anything goal related, for sure.
Right. Okay. So mental performance and mindset. Okay, that would be something that people would want to gain from this, right?
Yeah.
If you're watching, look, grab your notepad and your pen and paper, because we're going to be giving you tons of champion bombs and to help you level up your mindset. So whether you're an athlete, whether you're a business leader, salesperson, sales manager, and you want to change your mindset, let's say you have some negative thinking and some self-beliefs that are really holding you back. And sometimes that's like me, right? Like even this morning, I had some of that come up. But if it does, just tune in, because Petra's going to be doing this today, right? And the first question that I want to share with you, or I wanted to ask you, is what would you say, what's your mission, Petra?
I would ask myself that for a really long time. But overall, from all my experiences, ideally my why is to serve others. And the biggest thing I think is taking joy in that, because if you're serving others and still complaining and having bitterness, it's not going to work out in the end. There's no benefit. There's too many people in this world to just serve yourself. If you only serve yourself, there's no benefit in the end, because you're not actually, if you don't take joy in serving others, you're not actually bringing joy to yourself. And then also is how are you truly making an impact if you're serving yourself? So a lot of people say, well, I want to be a millionaire. I want to retire early, you know, and yeah, that might be good to benefit yourself, but why? What's that big why? If you're just saying, well, I want to be a millionaire because I want to give all the money to myself. Well, you're not, first of all, that's not really making an impact or benefiting others, or in a way actually benefiting yourself in the long term, right? Because a lot of people say that, and then all of a sudden they'll end up, how come this person's a millionaire and they're still feeling fears, they're still feeling loneliness, they're still feeling self-doubts, right? And even people who have been through trials and tribulations to get there at a higher level, they're still empty. And I think they didn't go back and think about the why. Why am I doing this? And really dig deep. And it's not going to take a day or a night to figure out. It's your journey that for you to understand that big why. I think that's highly important.
So you want to serve people and kind of help them find their why, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I would say so. I see a lot of people running the wrong race. I see a lot of people doing the wrong business. You know, that's not the highest potential or best interest of them, sadly. But yes, I think the why is very important. A lot of people don't stop and analyze that and really hone and critique on that, because we all either have blessings or consequences for all of our actions, regardless. So we definitely have to go back and specifically think about, why am I doing this? Who is it going to serve? In some way, when you give, you get, right? You receive. I 100% believe in that. Every time I gave whatever it was, even when I felt like I had nothing, I still received at that moment, right? And it's a trust thing, but I think it hones down also to ego as well. Is your ego in the way of the why? Like really dig deep into, the emotional, the mental.
Interesting. So I'm really curious about that, like for an athlete.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know with an athlete, let's say track and field, like what you went experienced, what would be the why if it's just me? You know, if it's just me running on the field, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be self-interest if it's just me running, or should I be focusing on the whole track team? Like, I don't know. What do you?
No. I mean, for example, if you want to start a business, you're serving others, right? But you got to lay the foundation to get that business going. But if your why is, I just want to start a business to be a millionaire, if you're already thinking that, if that's your mental, or psychological why, is that the full benefit, right? In the end. So for a track team, for me, is the biggest thing I've noticed in all the sports teams is when I first started in a track and field club, there was no sportsmanship, lack of accurate leadership, there was superiority, there was politics, there was division, there was gossip, there was slander, there was a lot of things that didn't make up a team.
Wow.
Now, being in that, it was very hard for me to succeed in that atmosphere. If I'm in an atmosphere where there is sportsmanship, there is collaboration, there is equality, but each person has their own specific strengths and responsibility. but where there's less ego, where there's more support with people emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, that's when I found that I succeeded. And it's funny because even though it's an individual sport and I still need to focus on what I have to do, we all have to take responsibility to focus on what we have to do. But being in that atmosphere psychologically helped me become more confident, to be reassured and encouraged. There's a huge difference with that. So I think serving others could be giving an encouragement. It could be, how supporting someone through a situation, right? It could be seeing someone in a business meeting or on a sports team lacking confidence, right? I think it's fun because we talk about it in sport, and it's there and it's not there sometimes depending on what team you are, but it's the exact same in business, right? If you're okay, this is a leadership business, well, and you see someone, it's kind of funny in a business meeting, everyone's immediately on their phones while they're waiting. Well, why don't you talk and say, hey, I heard that, I don't know, how's your grandma doing, your mom, or something like that, right? And get to start a conversation. That's leadership in itself. That's starting a relationship first, right? So it's the same thing, but that's serving others. It's caring, it's compassion, it's helping, but it's not ignoring yourself still at the same time, right? So you're actually benefiting yourself.
Yeah, you're really right. And I like, as I watch you, as I'm listening to what you're saying about especially serving and how people they don't talk much, right? They don't talk much. Like in a business meeting, everyone's on their phone. People don't talk to each other anyways, right? Like in life. Yeah. I know when I met you at the university, we didn't really talk much either. I know I just you were doing your own thing, you're in the sports.
Yeah, you're doing your own thing too. The clubs.
Yeah, so it was really cool just to see your evolution.
Yeah, I think even we decided to have this mask, right? And it's a mask against our vulnerability and our insecurity. So when we want to open up, that allows a little bit of vulnerability when we want to open up a talk zone, right? We might have a fear that they might judge me or anything like that. And even honestly, like even if you do open up and they do judge you, it's not, if you have like 10 positive comments and one person has one negative comment, well, that's just like a small seed compared to the flower, right? So, but it's funny how we immediately take that negative comment and we let it dominate our thoughts. It's very interesting, right? Well, that could be judgment. That could be our perception of judgment or fear. And that's something that we have to dive into to understand that, wow, it's maybe something, it's not the comment itself, it's maybe something that is inside my heart or my mind that one thought would dominate. Because if we're not, for example, if a person is lacking confidence, let's say a person to another person who has confidence, if the person who has a lack of confidence has 10 comments and one negative comment, they will take that one negative comment. But it's actually themselves that don't have the confidence. They just need confidence, right? It's not that negative comment. So what? If a person who has confidence... Hold
on. Let's rewind. Wait, what did you go? Can you rewind for a sec? I want to catch that again. What exactly what you said about confidence and then that negative comment? Like, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so if, so a person, let's say, lacks confidence, all right? And it could be anything, it could be in the business. And let's say 10 people made comments and said, wow, your business is amazing, very encouraging comments. And then at the end, let's say this one person gave a negative comment about themselves or whatever. Now, I've been in these situations before, and sometimes it depends. If it's a negative comment that kind of is not justified, then it's funny how the person that has lack of confidence takes that one comment and lets it dominate their thoughts. So then they they kind of get offended, get offensive, but really it's just the lack of confidence. So when a person has confidence, they will immediately take those 10 comments and dominate their thoughts and ignore that one comment or one negative comment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. They let it dominate the mind.
They let it dominate the mind. But if we allow negative stuff to dominate our minds, it means that something inside here needs to either be developed or restructured or fixed, right? Because I find that when people, you know, I've been in the middle of a whole bunch of politics and sports and coaches telling me that I can't, like, I had coaches telling me I couldn't do push-up class. And then I started when I did 5 push-up class. So, you know, I had a lot of people telling me I couldn't do it. I don't regret it because it did push me to not to prove them, but it did push me past those negative people, I guess, to kind of push them out.
Yeah.
But shoot, I went blank. What? Sorry.
No, like that's I really find that really amazing what you brought up there for a sec. How there's one person who will doubt you. Because I was the same.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have negative people or, you know, or hate or anything like that, you're doing it wrong. Right? Like, I have people who literally just randomly don't like me. I'm like, oh, okay. Why should I put my energy towards them, right? I'm just, you know, but the difference is still this is what I've learned is even though you are getting negative feedback, negative comments, I would still acknowledge them. I wouldn't let it dominate your thoughts, but I would still kind of critique because this one person that gave a negative comment to me, it was because something was going on in her life, right? And It wasn't like, oh, she's just a hater. Well, no, she's going through a lot of adversity for her to say that. So we know when the external environment is, you know, gives us a lot of pressure and we're going through trials, we become bitter. We might not speak to our good friends, right?
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily them being haters, just them not knowing how to cope with what they're going through. So you kind of have to look in between the lines and not take some of them to heart. Then there's other people who actually give constructive criticism, and you kind of have to look between the lines if it's for your best interest, right? Because there's some people who have given me constructive criticism that can hit my ego and make me deny it, even though I know it's true, right? So I think we still have to be aware, but not like, you can kind of tell the difference between a person who's just bringing you down, right? Like just saying, like, for example, you're not good enough, you know, just, I don't know, simple stuff like that. That stuff is not right. But if people are saying, well, you know, a person says, Petra, like in your leadership, you're being quite superior to the other people, and you're not actually acknowledging the other people's perspectives, or like that's constructive criticism. You can't say no to that. And some people might not see it. They're like, what do you mean, you know? But I would take that because that actually could potentially better your business, your leadership, your sports, right?
Great.
I think we have to start being aware and acknowledging instead of just immediately getting offended, right?
Yeah.
Because it could be us, or it could be, I think either way, it could be the environment that we're looking at.
That's a good point. Like that, I love how you talk about that because I'm the same way. I know when, like, I get judged at least once or twice a day. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I get judged once or twice a day, like, and most of the time it's me judging me, right?
Yeah.
It's me judging me, or I hear someone make a comment towards me, or maybe to my face they say something, right? And what's really great is like when I can just be compassionate with them.
Yeah. And
have compassion.
It's funny is if you're compassionate and loving, but still, you know, still stand your ground who you are.
Right.
And more open and understanding and confident, people get scared of that because you think that person has something that I don't have, or they'll get scared because I think it's something that they see that for some reason makes them uncomfortable, even though it's all good. There's nothing bad. Because I've had that with people, kind of just go out in the distance for some reason. But it's,
what do you mean?
Like for example, so I'll say a situation. So one of my friends, she, she's going do some stuff, trying to find her why in herself. And there's this one girl who has been through similar situations as my other friend. So I referred them to meet together. And one of my other friends, she's very compassionate. Like, she's very loving. She's understanding. She's amazing. But my other friend said that I kept asking her, have you talked to her? Have you messaged her? And she's like, I'm scared. Like, why would you be scared with someone who's loving, passionate, and understanding? And I find that when we live in fear, we're scared. That is something that is either from our past, that we're scared to move forward, or it is something that they've talked to a person, let's say a similar situation. So let's say they talked to a person before and something happened or they didn't work out. So they're living in fear of their future from an incident that occurred in their past. And so I think it's very important to break that, to ask again the why. Why am I scared? Right? Why am I scared to meet up with a person who's not bad? Right? Like, and she knows that. So I think it's very interesting to think about that, and to really think about your thoughts, think about your past, how it reflects you today. Am I still living in my past, right? Because I've had moments like that, and you got to make a decision. You have to know and understand your whys and how to move forward from that, right? And sometimes it's just a trust or a leap of faith, right? Like, we're still all so young, right? We have, like, I don't think anything is an accident, whatever trial, right?
Yeah.
It's still to move you forward. So.
Yeah, that's a very, very fair point. And it looks like we have a lot of people watching us now, like on this live stream. We have about 7 people on. So many people just sharing, just sending you a lot of love, actually.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
So thanks for everyone that's.
I can't even read what they're saying, actually.
If you're watching Petra and you have a question or a comment for her, drop it into the comments below, and tell us what you think about mindset. Right? Like, join the conversation and what you do for mindset, and maybe you judge people, maybe you have some sort of mental blocks getting in the way, right? But I'm curious, Petra, like, this is part of the question, but this is kind of an off-track question from what I gave you, but
yeah,
I'm thinking of the audience, right? So let's say I'm a first-time athlete or a first-time performance person, like whether I'm in business or in sales.
Yeah.
How can I prime my mindset? What's the beginning steps? How can I start doing that?
Well, I think we kind of jump the gun. I think we think about, okay, I want to train really hard. We immediately try to set goals. We kind of get excited, and we kind of say, okay, what is my business name going to be called? Who am I going to be working with? And we kind of jump the gun that way. But those things are actually secondary. What is the first thing I think is to dive in is why? Why do I want to start this business? Why do I want to be in this sport? Because a lot of people, they'll jump the gun, immediately go in, and then halfway be like, whoa, I didn't expect this. And then they don't have the mental capacity, and they don't have the passion, they don't have the drive anymore. And they'll start questioning a lot of things. And then all of a sudden you ask, well, what happened to that business? Couldn't do it, or things in life happened, or things got busy. And then I hear people all the time as athletes, right? They'll get injured, right? Well, I wasn't expecting this. And then they'll, they'll go through life, and we all do, right? But I think juggling life and at the same time maintaining your passions, your goals, your dreams, you have to know how to juggle life first, because those will always be there. Those secondary things will always be there. You can always grow in them. But I think understanding the why, where your mental capacity is at first, right? And I'm not saying that those life things won't still occur, but at least you know how to respond to them. At least you know how to have the mental capacity, the emotional capacity, right? Handle them, especially the emotional part. Because the thought comes in first and then gives us the emotion sometimes. Sometimes it's the other way around. But I think it's very important to write down, I have a sheet that I have down, but to write down why am I doing this? What obstacles, like what, for example, if you know you're a person that struggles with mental health or fear, I would write those things down first. And then see, try to, you can definitely combine, when you write down your notes, you can definitely combine it with your business to say, like, okay, well, what type of people do I want in my group or my leadership? Well, for example, in sports, I want a coach that has responsibility of a coach, but has respect for their athletes, has a sportsmanship like ideal, has this type of philosophy, right? And then you go and you match that, right?
So you have it like standards. It sounds like you have standards of people that you want to work with.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think everything is definitely in here, inside, right? So where first your mental is, where your emotional is, your spiritual, if you're in sport, physical, but yeah, I think definitely writing that stuff down first, because a lot of times we jump the gun, and I did that, and my first year was going to quit track because I had 3 injuries, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I was like, I'm going to quit. I can't do this, right? And I had no idea what I was going into. And so, but I'm definitely thankful. Everything works out in life regardless of our actions. But I think if I did kind of write that down and figure out my why, I don't think I would have had that thought to quit, to be honest. But I stuck it through because I knew track and field was something in my heart that I loved, and that would get me places and help people. So it all works out in the end, even if we can't see it in the moment, because what we see is the adversity, but we don't see, well, the why, like the full potential. Is this my best interest, right? A lot of people go into things because they're talented, they're good at it, but they don't have that why, they don't have that passion. And when you don't have that passion, you don't have that drive. And so I see a lot of athletes making to worlds, making internationals, and then quitting because of an injury, because they didn't fix that beforehand. When I went to the sports psychology conference, this one girl was an Olympic wrestler, and she came in and she gave her story about injuries and about her doubts and her fears. And she had sports psychologists at that high performance level. But the one thing she said was she didn't know that the fear she was facing from when she was either a child or when she was a teenager followed her all the way up to the Olympic Games. And she couldn't compete because she was injured and she was having a mental breakdown.
Right.
And the one advice that she gave was she wished that she had the help sooner or knew how to cope with it sooner when she was that teenager or that child. And it really bugs me because a lot of the sports psychologists or mental performance that I was around had their PhD, had their masters, and they were only at a high performance level. And I look around, I'm like, guys, we have to start implementing these things in a community or on a local level. And they were only thinking high performance, that's what they need to get to the top. Well, you don't realize that actually starts a lot younger.
Yeah, right? That's a good point. That's like trying to build a house without having a concrete foundation.
Yeah, it's building a house out of sand. It is not building a house out of solid rock. So if anything comes by, any life adversity, it's just going to completely fall. But I mean, regardless, if I'm not going to say that if it falls, people won't get back up, right? It really depends. The one thing I've noticed is keep good community around you, and not just people who always agree with you, right? Because in my life I can't keep friends that always agree with me. I need new perspectives. I need convictions. I need something that's different, right? Because you could be saying something that's completely false, and the person can be like, yeah, and I'll agree with you. Well, I think that person is a fool, to be honest, because you're not actually, no, seriously, you're not actually helping me or for my best interest, right? You're not actually pushing me forward. And a lot of people, there's some people that don't like those people that think differently than them, because I think it goes back to an inside thing. But I get mad at my friends sometimes when, well, they don't agree with me with everything, but because I'm like, stop agreeing with me. Like, I need something new to push me forward. And I don't know if that's the athlete mentality. I think it could be a business mentality too. But keep the people who think differently than you in a good way, right?
Do you like conflict?
I think you a lot of conflict, but I think there's a difference between there's a conflict and there's a challenge. I think those are very different. I think you kind of have to be a little bit more analytical with those guys, because like a conflict, you have to think about it. Are you quarreling? Are you starting division? That's a conflict. Are you saying, well, I'm better than you? Like, that's a conflict. If challenging is knowing the person's best interest and that they can, like, for example, if someone calls me out on my pride or my selfishness, I can either create a conflict or use that as a challenge, right? So I can say, okay, yeah, give me an example of how I'm prideful or whatever. It could be to athletes, people, to whoever. And, you can think about it. And when people call you out, it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable because you don't want to face it. And sometimes you don't see it, right? I've had a person call me out and I couldn't see it and I got offended. And then I kind of had to say, okay, it's the way I respond to it, right? Yeah. And I had to really think about it. Okay, there are maybe some times that I am prideful, right, in certain situations. So that's something that I have to deal with. I agree. And I think we all have to take ownership for our own craft, to be honest, at times.
Straight up, I was just listening to a live in it, and I know she talked about ownership. One of my clients, and she talked about ownership. She talked about coaching, and what's really great about this is what I'm digging is having people that challenge you.
Yeah,
that's straight up.
You gotta crave those people. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks sometimes, but if you know that it can push you, right, then it's a good thing. But I think it's how we perceive it. I think it's how we perceive it, how we take it, and how we respond to it.
Who challenged you in your life?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh gosh. I think my mom. My mom and I wouldn't say coaches in particular. I would say my mom. She calls me out a lot. And so it's how I perceive it. And then sometimes it can be tough, but at times moms do know what's best for you. And, they know how they raise you, how you're going to react to things. Yeah, I would say mom. I'm more... Right. Yeah, I was going in there.
Very interesting. Wow, that's because Yeah, I would say my mom's the same. She's a very straight up, like sharp.
Straight up, like
Sharp.
yeah. Tells you like it is, right? No filter.
Yeah.
You know? Especially if you have like I have a mom's Greek and Mediterranean, so you're very on
So like, there sounds like there's no like feedback sandwich. You ever had those sandwiches where it's like good, bad?
Oh yes, yes, it's like good, bad, and it ends with a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the feedback sandwiches. Oh gosh, some people like them, some people don't.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, depends. Like, sometimes I like it, but I like it when it's obviously get to the point of what you're trying to say, to right? Like,
yeah,
you know, I don't want people just to butter it up, like, right?
The one thing I cannot stand, whether it's I gotta say this, whether it's a person speaking at a conference or whether it's I don't know, speaking about a topic, whether it's a pastor, whether it's a teacher, prof, is when is just surface level. I feel like in life people need more deeper thinking than surface level, right? Like I could be up there and be like, yeah, like there's a purpose on your life, right? I can just constantly say that and be like, well, it's very subjective, right? Because people could think of 5 different things of what their purpose is. But if you kind of talk, okay, let's dive in. What is purpose? And first of all, what is already your perception of purpose? And because a lot of us think, well, my purpose is to become a millionaire. It's to be the top CEO. It's to be a professional athlete. It's to be, I don't know, it's to be someone at the very top, right? It's to be a famous singer, a famous musician, right? And those are good, right? Those are passions and goals, but purpose is the bigger picture. So some people think, well, it's to be a good person, right? It's to create homeless shelters, or some people might think that way, right? And then other people might think, well, my purpose is to have more love and compassion on people, right? And so I think when we're using surface level stuff in anything, there's a lot of different perceptions, objectives, unless we actually narrow our topic down into the why, or in being a little bit more critical of what we're talking about in anything, right? I can be like, yeah, sports is good for you, well, sports is very broad. You got to go very, very specific, and also to the audience, right? Build relationships with the audience, right? If a majority of the audience is saying that they're struggling with fear, dive into fear, right? And it's funny because you might have this big plan, and then you go into a conference, and the people are actually needing something completely different than what you just planned, right? So I think that's very important, but don't go service level, because I was always questioning and being subjective with things till I actually honed down on those topics.
Like you must be talking about like conversations or just like speeches. Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, just like, I mean, if any, like, I don't know, anything. I've been to conferences and all that stuff, and some people just do surface level and have so many questions like, well, what do you mean purpose, right?
Straight, I agree with that. Like that's a good point, because I was in a men's group yesterday and we talked about it, and there's the first check-in was just like small talk, who you are, what do you do, and name, right? Yeah. But then we went deeper into like, how are you feeling emotionally? Like, what emotion are you feeling right now? Mad, sad, glad, fear, and shame. And right, and we talk like that. We talk about a lot in our training, warrior leadership trainings. It's that, these are the 5 emotions that people carry. They're either happy, mad, they're either scared, or they're ashamed of something, right? And that's where I want to get to, right?
Yeah.
In life. But what holds me back is sometimes if I don't trust, right? If I don't trust that person, you know what I mean? Or, like, so that's an interesting thing.
I think trust. Still working on it. But
Yeah.
it's very interesting because personally, I don't trust many people, right? But why? Well, let's say I've had a lot of, disrespect from coaches, and I've seen a lot of abuse, and I've seen misconduct, a lot of that. And so I don't really trust anyone track, but I think till someone comes along in your life and gives you that reason, then it definitely opens up that trust a little more. But respect and trust is not demanded. I believe it's earned. And I believe it's earned by the way the person presents themselves, by the way they act, by the way they treat people. And, a lot of people in superior positions, you can tell they demand respect. But respect is ideally earned based on who you are, what you do, or not what you do, but who you are, and really how you treat and respect others.
True.
But trust is definitely a hard thing. Honestly, throughout my life, I didn't trust anyone. It was just only me, to be honest. I didn't really. Right now, I have a mentor, but before I didn't have any mentor. It was kind of just I had to figure out myself and understand. Seek to understand. Situations, people, things like that. Because I think we kind of just. I think the most important thing is seeking to understand. Because you always say, "I don't understand. I don't understand." Okay. Well, if you don't understand, seek to understand, right? Because we kind of leave it there and kind of say, "Well, my life's over." And we're like, "Well, no, you still got your fingers, you still got your toes." Like seek to understand why. And I would say never give up and don't stop doing that. I don't have much to say about trust because maybe I'm still figuring it out, but I know that trust is honestly a huge thing. And I think we're all facing it because if we kind of dive deeper, it's either someone or some situation has broken our trust. And I think it's harder to go back into trust people. Now, I wouldn't say I think trust is kind of natural when you kind of develop interpersonal relationships, community with people, right? You can tell. But I think when a person says, okay, like I've seen this before, people are okay, I'm going to start trusting again. And they just pick random people. Well, and then all of a sudden the trust is broken, right? But I think trust is natural. I think we're earned and it's natural when you develop good relationships with people, right? You can tell when a person's trust is genuine as well compared to when it's not, right? And then we also get that feeling or sometimes intuition of that you can tell when not to trust a person, and when you see that person's genuine, then it kind of opens up. I think trust opens up when you exchange vulnerable conversation, right? When that naturally comes up, I think there's a trust there. But now, when I say trust, I don't mean like pour out everything of your life story, right? Because there could be very vulnerable spots that if they did say something and point at it can hurt you, right? But one step at a time, right? Trust is definitely takes time, and it's and it can be built.
Here are two things I want to add to this. It was really interesting. Before we go to our power round and then we end off the podcast. And these two things are exactly what you just said, right? And there's an author. She wrote a book called Dare to Lead by Brene Brown.
Yeah, Brene Brown. She's good.
Yeah, she's a great leader. She's a trainer in leadership. And what she talked about is someone brought this up to me, and they said that if I'm going to share something like that I'm ashamed of, I have to find people that are worthy of my shame.
Yeah.
That are worthy for me to tell them, right?
Yeah. I think I agree. It's ideally, regardless, one person has to take that step. Sometimes the conversation can evolve to opening up about that shame if both people are feeling that. But Like if you're opening about shame and you know this person very superior in ego and and just doesn't match, then that's not a good match. But yeah, like like if you're if you're feeling those things, right? And talking to someone who has compassion and who's genuine, right? I think that's good.
Yeah. And the last thing that helps me build trust, and maybe it's the same for you, maybe not, but it's if actions and words are the same.
Match, yes, yes. Actions match with your words. My dad used to say you were only as good as your word. Because a lot of people, we even for ourselves, right? When we make commitments, right? We can lie to ourselves, we can lie to others, right? It is better not to just say it at all if you're not sure or if you're not going to keep up with it. I usually don't tell people any news till I for sure get everything, right? For example, if I'm in the process of getting a new job, I don't tell people till I'm absolutely fully hired. That's just me, but because if I, get super excited and like, oh, I went to the interview and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden something happened, we get the job, and we're like, oh, what about the job? And we're like, but I think it's good to definitely practice and create a habit of, matching your actions to your words. That is very important because people see that. They immediately see that. And some people call you out and some people won't, right? And that's one thing that I've seen with a lot of people is their actions so much the words. I've seen leaders, I've seen pastors, I've seen different types of teachers, different types of people. One teacher can be very knowledgeable. You can be very knowledgeable about a certain topic, right? So let's say a person can be knowledgeable about some psychology of depression, anxiety, but in their life they have no idea how to handle it. Always apply your knowledge to your life. That's what I'm going to say, is because a lot of people are very intellectual, but they don't know how to apply it to their life. Like it's weird because there's research going around saying that dentists who've been in the industry for over 30 years or so say that they physically give up their life. And they don't really understand the why exactly. But I think it's very important to, oh my gosh, I'm going blank. I guess it is. I go blank sometimes. Refresh your memory, please.
Long story short, what would you say if you could put in one sentence?
Pardon?
If you put it in one sentence, what would you think?
Say that again. Put in one sentence?
Yeah, put in one sentence for me. It's just so we can quickly understand.
Oh no, sorry. Repeat the question.
Oh, what I talked about?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot too. I forgot. But
okay.
But yeah,
in the comment section we'll
yeah. Hey, just want to.
One thought on the train, another thought, and the train doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Now I just want to read some of the comments from some of our viewers that are watching. I think all the way from the Philippines. Actually, we have some people all the way in the Philippines. So like Carl is and Andres is saying actions prove who someone is. Words just prove who they want to be. Florabelle, she said trust is hard to build. Danielle, she agrees. She's like, yeah, trust is earned. It is built. And it's precious to give it away. And one of my teammates, so person on my team, she said, I agree with you that trust is earned. So a lot of people are driving with what you're saying there. Right. Now for this last part, this is called the warrior round, right? This is the warrior round. And I encourage you to keep this within one sentence.
Okay.
Which can be a stretch for people. Some people can be like, they ramble fucking 30 minutes for one question.
That's me. I have like all these thoughts that I'm distracting, try to like fit it into a sentence. Oh man. All right.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you 5 power questions and just go with the heart. I invite you to go with your heart. What are you scared of?
My dreams. I'm scared of making it to Olympics.
What makes you mad?
Makes me mad. Oh, I would say shady people, the people that always cancel constantly.
Right.
So I think it says where their priorities are, or I mean, it says where I fit into their life.
What inspires you and drives you?
Ooh, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say my faith. I'm very heavy on my faith, and that's the only thing that drives me, because you can't lose hope. You can't lose, the internal blessings, right? Yeah.
Inspires. Wow. Love it. Now, what would you say is your 3 leadership lessons that has changed your life? 3.
Ooh, it's a good one. 3 leadership lessons. Okay. One second. Okay. 3 leadership lessons. One is to create an open environment with your team or your leaders, and not create a sense of superiority when ideally we're all equal, we just have different responsibilities. Because that opens up to actually acknowledging the people, their hearts, their adding their strengths and weaknesses, and even, I mean, it might not be perfect or the way that the head honcho wants it, but at least it creates an atmosphere where it's a lot healthier, where people are more vulnerable, where there's growth and strength, right? And then the third one, I would say, is third one, I would say, I'm just thinking what I've seen in all my chat clubs is, I would say just cut out the politics. Like, cut out the, well, I'm right, you're wrong, right? Type of deal. And more coming to an understanding, I would just say. Now, there's some things that are completely right and wrong. Misconduct, abuse, all that stuff. You can tell, right? But a person saying, I don't know, this is probably a stupid example, but like, oh, well, the logo should be green. Nope, the logo should be blue. Well, let's come to an understanding of maybe that's what the majority thinks, right? I don't know.
All right. Okay. Those are great lessons, by the way. I love them. And now this one's going to be a little tough one. And this one's 60 seconds. You got 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
The world's about to blow up. So pretend the world's about to blow up and you're about to die.
Oh, okay.
And you have 60 seconds to leave a last message and impact the world. 60 seconds.
Ooh, no pressure. No pressure. You gotta ask me, are you gonna ask me the question first, then start the timer?
No, it was just, you got a message that you want to share with the world?
Anything.
Okay. To inspire, to do whatever.
Are you gonna ask me a question or no?
No.
Okay. Oh gosh.
It can be any message. It can be any message. Ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
I would say in this life, anything can happen. But to absolutely, regardless, never give up. That's the one thing that I would say in this life. Never give up. It's life. You have no idea the person beside you is facing the exact same thing you're facing. It is life, right? And the biggest thing is to never give up. If one path doesn't work, try a new path. All right. And I know it might be exhausting and dreadful. Then seek the right people, right? Even like if you have faith, pray to seek the right people, right? But I think in times where we feel fear or darkness, that's when we actually have to come to it face to face and to not be afraid and to not give up and to persevere and to keep going. And perseverance is just not giving up. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? And there's good things in life, right? You have to acknowledge that, because if you don't, you can't just have all, like, it's very domineering if you just have constantly negative thoughts all the time. But kind of see in between the lines, think a little more critically, right? See, well, not a lot of people have a roof over their head, right? Or shoes on their feet, right? Or a parent or a mom or a dad, right? So gratefulness, I think, is really huge because it humbles the heart and it actually benefits you in the long run, in your passions, actually, and your dreams and your why. So that's it.
Wow.
Did I nail it?
Yeah, great job, actually. Well done. I can see there's some teaching in there too. Yeah. Now, so for everyone watching here, I'm curious if you have any last words that you want us to share, where we can follow you and what's next for you. Go ahead and share that.
Yeah.
What's tell us what's next for your life and how we could follow you.
Well, I'm training, so trying to get that, but I'm still on this journey. I'm still on this journey just like all of you guys, right? And I am training in school. I will be a strength conditioning coach as well. But guys, all this psychology or sports psychology and mental stuff can be applied in any area of your life, at home, at school, at work, all that stuff, right? You can still apply it anywhere. So, but yeah, school, coaching, training. I mean, I still have goals for that, but it takes time.
Yeah.
It's a journey. You have to accept that, guys. It's a journey, right? So.
Straight up. I know with the journey, that's what's really interesting. Like, I know I define leadership sometimes as a journey. There is no outcome. There is no result, right?
Because you're breaking old habits and you're creating new habits, and that takes time. And it goes thoughts, actions, habits, and then
behavior?
Lifestyle.
Okay.
So yeah. So it starts in here. Starts with thoughts, right? Then it trickles down, right? Wow. So, but accept that it takes time, right? Where we live in an impatient world where everything is in an instant, right? Yeah. Slow everything down. Figure out your why. It takes time.
True. I wanted to add to that piece that you had there. So I learned this from someone I was at. It was like a training. It's so I learned it was input. And then input influences my thoughts. It influences my actions, and then actions influence my habits. Habits influence my behaviors. Behaviors to life or I'm trying to remember that. Character. Character, and then character equals legacy. So it's like a whole timeline, right?
Yeah. So I love this. I'm just going to read actually something that I think will help. This one definitely helped me. Let's see here. Tribulations produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope, and hope that does not disappoint. So I think that was really good. That was something that definitely helped me, right? Because if you think about it, these adversities in life, they actually refine who we are, right? We feel like we're stuck in one spot, but they actually refine who we are, right? So, like, honestly, when I was 18, and I didn't go through all the stuff that I went through till now, I don't think I'd be having this conversation, right? It refines who we are. And I think we have to be grateful and we have to accept that, right? In what we go through. And some people go through very, very traumatic stuff. Yeah. And some people, how in the world could I be grateful for what, I went through, for what that person to me, or, whatever.
Right.
And we have to kind of change that thinking, because you can't stay there, because it's actually going to bring you down. So if you kind of think, well, okay, this is something I have to heal, it's something I have to work through. And I think it's very important that we say, okay, it can refine who I am, because then maybe I can help some other person who's been through there, right? Or maybe at the end it helps me produce perseverance to say, yeah, I went through that and I overcame, right? And people love that. We're like, wow, you went through that and you overcame, right? Like that provides a lot of hope and insight in other people, but to say, wow, like what I'm going through, maybe I can overcome it too, right? But if you kind of get people who are like, I'm hopeless, and it's good to talk about it, but you can't stay there. You got to keep going, right?
I agree. Well, I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for adding so much value. I just realized we've been on this for an hour already.
It was good though. I hope the people liked it. I know my thoughts are kind of, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope it was good, solid.
It was solid value. I swear. I think I'm gonna turn this whole thing into a little blog article. Like I'll like transcribe it.
Yeah, send it to me.
Yeah, and I'll send it to you, and people who want to connect with you and get some psychology, like mindset, like coaching, right, from you, right?
Yeah. Any, like, honestly, I love I love new ideas too. If someone mentions something, hey, why don't you do this or whatever, I'm totally for it. So bring all the good perspectives, good ideas, right?
Yeah.
And if anything, you can tell them to message me. If anything, if they have any questions.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, everyone, follow the ALFA project. The link is right into.
Oh, no. Sorry. Not the ALFA project. Just me.
What? Oh, no, not
that. They don't answer the question. Oh. They're just a facility.
Oh, so don't give them business.
They're going to be like, who are these people? Okay. Yeah. No, just me. It's fine.
Follow Petra Rochelle on Facebook. Her name is Petra, Rochell.
Kevin, you can tag me into a link if you want.
Yeah.
So they see me.
So I tagged her actually right here above. And are you also on Instagram as well? Like, can you follow on Instagram?
Yeah, also follow me on Instagram. It's Petra with 2 A's at the end of my first name, and then Rochelle with 2 E's at the left.
All right, you heard it best from her. Thank you for everyone that's being here today. I hope you can join us at the Impact Players Tour this Wednesday, where mindset is all we're going to be talking about. Expansion, leadership, business growth, and 10X. Are you coming to Arizona, Petra? Let's go.
Arizona? Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Track and field's a big thing down there. I'd be excited. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've been on way too many vacations right now, so.
All right. It's time to hustle, huh?
Yeah. But good. Been good. Great.
Yeah. So hey, I'll put that link below to get your tickets to the event. Follow Rochelle or follow Petra. Thanks for watching. Put your notes into the comments, and if you want to get access to her, do you guys give out free coaching, or do you have like a free coaching session or something the first time, or?
Yeah. So if they want any strength conditioning, or if some of them are an athlete, definitely go follow the ALFA project. I am one of the strength conditioning coaches, so they can come see me. And then I can just refer them to the registration on the website. But either way, we have a website. So type in Google the ALFA project, the website will be there, so you can either register on the website and then request to see me, or you can just message me. But if you want to get everything set up, I would probably go on the website.
All right, done. So everyone, have a powerful day. It's Fearless Friday today, so let's go do something scary today. All right. So, thanks for your time.
Face your fears.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Petra. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
All
awesome. Right. Have a good one.